Hi, everyone, and welcome or welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror DVD movie review video. As part of my current series, where I'm taking a look at random horror movies for my DVD collection that I haven't seen before for the month of July here. So today we're going to take a look at a Zomcom, which surprisingly is almost 20 years old, and I've never seen it. My wife has actually seen it a few years ago, so it's probably one of the first movies in my collection that she's seen over me. But it's not really a horror movie. It's definitely a zomcom, though, and that, of course, is the famous Shaun of the Dead from 2004. So yeah, I got this on Rogue Pictures DVD here. So Shaun of the Dead, first time watch for me last night. I watched it with my wife. Um, So let's just go ahead and get into Shaun of the Dead from 2004. So I should mention I'm a big Simon Pegg fan. I like him and everything I've seen him, and so that was the draw for me in getting this movie, and then also just the word of mouth I've heard about it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've heard more good than bad. So Shaun of the Dead is a 2004 zombie comedy film directed by Edgar Wright and written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. Pegg stars as Sean, a downtrodden salesman in London who is caught in a zombie apocalypse with his friend Ed, played by Nick Frost. The film co stars Katie Ashfeld, Lucy Davis, Dylan Moran, Bill Nighy, and Penelope Wilton. It is the first installment in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, followed by Hot Fuzz and The World's End. And I don't have either of those movies. So basically, the movie opens in Crouch End, London. 29-year-old electronic salesman Sean has no direction in his life. He is disrespected by his colleagues, does not get along with his stepfather Philip, and is dumped by his girlfriend Liz after he fails to make decent plans for a date to celebrate their 3 year anniversary. Heartbroken, Sean gets drunk with Ed, his weed dealing slacker best friend, at their favorite pub, the Winchester. At home, Sean and Ed flatmate Pete complains of a bite wound from a mugger and berates Sean into getting his life together. By morning, the zombie apocalypse has overwhelmed London. Sean and Ed are slow to notice until they encounter two zombies in their garden, whom they beat to death with a shovel and cricket bat after several failed attempts of throwing household implements in Sean's record collection. They devise a plan to rescue Liz and Barbara, Sean's mother, and then wait out the crisis in the Winchester. They escape from a now zombified Pete and Pete's car and pick up Philip. They escape from a now zombified Pete in Pete's car and pick up Philip, who has been bitten, and Barbara. After Ed deliberately crashes Pete's car, they use Philip's Jaguar to pick up Liz and her flatmates, David and Diane. Philip reconciles with Sean before Philip becomes a zombie. So that's the setup and the premise for Shaun of the Dead. As far as the cast goes, of course, we have Simon Pegg as Sean, Nick Frost as Ed, Kate Ashfeld as Liz, Lucy Davis as Diana, Dylan Moran as David, Penelope Wilton as Barbara, Bill Nighy as Philip, and Jessica Stevenson as Yvonne. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for Shaun of the Dead from 2004. I had a really good time with this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, as far as zomcoms go, and they don't all work for me. I like Zombieland, the first one, and Anne and the Apocalypse, which is kind of a zomcom Christmas musical, which is a little bit different. And then I didn't really enjoy this one though. So there's a few of them that work for me, and this one definitely worked for me, from the comedy to the gore to the zombies to the cast. Just kind of everything about it was fun for what it was. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the things that I liked about Shaun of the Dead. It does a really good job of starting out introducing us to these characters in their normal daily lives. So we as an audience really get a sense of who they are, their flaws, and everything else. And the movie takes a good 15, 20, maybe close to 30 minutes of before the apocalypse really breaks out, of just we meeting these characters and their relationships. So we as an audience know when the apocalypse starts exactly who these characters are and what they're all about and where they come from, and everything like that. And so I thought that was really important to the movie, and they did a really good job with that. For me, the comedy lands really well in this movie, with some slapstick physical comedy as well as dialogue wise and situational comedy. I was really having a good time with these characters as they were thrust into this zombie apocalypse situation. So yeah, overall, I thought the comedy worked, which is not always the case in these, not only horror comedies but zomcoms even. So that was good. They actually did a good job of giving these character arcs and fleshing them out. I thought, especially the main character of Sean, played by Simon Pegg, of course. It's not something that you always see in a zombie comedy. But we really come to know these characters. At least I felt that we did, and especially the main character. Um, as Sean. The special effects in the movie are really solid, and the zombies look good, I thought. Nothing overly crazy or creative, but I thought they looked good enough to let you know who the zombies were. I thought Edgar Wright did a really good job at directing this movie with a lot of cool camera tricks and techniques that he used to make the movie both fun and compelling. The performances were really solid across the board, especially by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I really like those two particularly. I really enjoyed the chemistry between Sean and Ed, those two actors playing those characters. Like it was kind of like a buddy cop movie, but without a lot of motivation and drive until forced into having some. That's kind of how I would describe it. And yeah, Sean kind of gets it from all sides. He's got his friend Ed, who's even lazier than he is, and more of a loser, if you want to say, at the beginning of the movie. Then he's got his girlfriend that's not happy with the fact that he kind of gives Ed all of his attention and doesn't really challenge him or get mad at him or anything. And then his co-workers don't really like him, and his girlfriend's roommates don't really like him. His stepfather doesn't really like him, but his mom does. So it's kind of interesting to watch him sort of go through this movie with everything that's going on around him and just the art that that character has and the relationship between him and Ed, with Ed is definitely a big part of that. The movie's really well paced with a tidy and effective 99-minute runtime. It doesn't overstay its welcome. There's quite a bit of yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And then my final pro is there's quite a bit of fun, blood, and gore in this movie. Really, it's really in step with the tone of this movie, which is obviously more of a comedy driven film that just happens to have a horror element to it, which is zombies. But they don't hold back on the gore. I mean, there's one scene towards the end of the movie where one of the characters, who I really enjoyed seeing, get torn apart basically because he was a really annoying character. I'll get into that. But yeah, they don't hold back. They show the flesh ripping. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gunshots to the head, and somebody falls over on like a pole that goes through them. So yeah, there's if you're somebody that's looking for like a comedy that combines gore, then this is your movie because the I thought they balanced that out really well, the comedy and the gore, and then also throw in some interesting character arcs and characters in general. So yeah, those are my pros for Shaun of the Dead from 2004. A lot of good things to like here. As far as cons go, I couldn't really come up with a lot. It's obviously not a particularly scary movie. It's not even a particularly scary com, and it does borrow a lot from movies like Dawn of the Dead and other zombie movies that we've seen before. I wouldn't say that it's a full blown spoof the way that Scary Movie's a spoof of other horror movies and especially slasher movies. I don't think it's a full out spoof. It's more of a zombie comedy, much in the same way that Anna and the Apocalypse is, but certainly it knows the genre well and it uses it and borrows from it. The look of the zombies, well, it's funny. I said I like the look of the zombies, and in my cons, I say that it's not overly that impressive. I think they're fine. I mean, they're not like I said before. They're not overly creative or anything. The eyes are the biggest thing. They turn the eyes over white, and that's how you know somebody's a zombie. But as far as makeup and stuff, it's obviously been done better in other movies, the George Romero movies. The character of David was the wet blanket throughout the whole movie. He's the character that gets torn apart at the end of the movie by the zombies. I was rooting for that to happen. That was the best part of the movie for me because I really just could not stand this character. It's one of those characters you're rooting to die. And especially the fact that he makes stupid choices that affect the rest of the characters that he's with. Um, and part of that, of course, is just to move the plot of the movie along, to get them into more trouble and how are they going to get out of it, kind of thing. But characters like that just really bug the hell out of me. But yeah, that's all I could think of. I mean, for what it is, it's a silly, over the top com. I mean, it's hard to rip it for what it is. I think they do a really good job, though, as I said, with the characters. the story's not overly creative. It's you meet these characters and there's a zombie apocalypse that breaks out. We don't really know why or how or anything like that. But the comedy works and the gore works. I mean, what more could you ask for? That's what you want in a zomcom, gory comedy, and it worked well for me. So I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10 for what it is as a zomcom. I thought it worked for me, and I enjoyed these characters, especially Simon Pegg, who I'm a big fan of. I really liked them in this movie. So 8.5 out of 10 for Shaun of the Dead from 2004, the zomcom directed by Edgar Wright and starring Simon Pegg. Um, Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen Shaun of the Dead. I would recommend it if you're into like horror comedies or zomcoms. I would recommend this one for sure. But comment down below what you guys think of it. Did you like it? Did it not work for you? Why? Why not? Please like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series. And please be sure to subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss any of my great horror content that I basically have planned out for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review and you're enjoying this series. The next movie will be dropping within 2 to 3 days tops. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, but stay scared. Bye.